Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me yet again for another episode of Marketing and Mindset. Happy Monday. I am your host, America Supermom. I am so excited to be here today because today's topic is the power of active listening. Now, I could have just said listening. We throw this term around a lot. I definitely use it a lot with my kids, right? It's like, are you listening to me? I am telling you this over and over again, but it seems to be no interaction here, like something's not connecting. How many times I have to tell you to come and get this trash or take your plate and put it in the sink or when are you going to start your chore? All these different things that we could say because we feel like someone is not listening. So, one of the things that I often have asked my children as I was trying to teach them this, right? I think we all kind of have this situation to where it depends on our mood, right? If we are engaged in other activity, if we are actually listening to what someone is saying to us, right? So I asked my kids, how do you know if somebody is listening to you? And they say, well, if they do what you ask or whatever that situation is. So if your outcome is that you want somebody to grab something out of the kitchen, for example, if you're eating and you need a utensil or something that you're going to put on your food, salt and pepper or ketchup, right? You know if they're listening if you ask them something and then they come back with whatever you've asked them for, right? So that means they heard you, but they listened because they actually followed through with the action. Now, so for me, this was really a profound thing to realize, right? Because a lot of times we hear people, we hear the noise in the background or whatever it is, but we actually listen, right? So this is kind of what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, I just want to introduce myself to those of you that may not know me. I am America's Supermom, and as I gave that illustration about kids, my husband and I have 15 of them, and we have 10 of them that still live at home. So this is definitely a topic that I struggle with, not only for myself, but with my kids or business situations. The list can go on and on. But what I like to do as America's Supermom is to create strategies for moms and women to deal with life's obstacles with a smile instead of stress. So I'm all about mental wellness because I've had a lifetime, it seems like, of getting it wrong. For 13 years, I struggled with depression, hospitalized 3 times, and now I'm about sharing my message to other women so that they can use the tools and lessons that I've learned and avoid that pitfall that I ran into in so many different areas. So, today, one of the pitfalls is to not actively listen to other people. So I'm going to pull up some slides here really quickly so we can kind of get into today's topic. So I hope everybody is doing fantabulous today. All right. So today we're going to be talking about this active listening. Now, the first thing that I have here is a quote. I was challenged in a clubhouse room by Les Brown to come up with a mantra, something that you really want to lead yourself with every day. And so I came up with a life without excuses as a mindset for greatness. Because as a mother with 15 children, right, I could come up with a million excuses. Oh, I can't do it because of the kids. Or, oh, I can't do it because I'm short. Oh, I can't do it because I'm a stay home mom. So I got to do the things of a stay home mom. I mean, just the list can go on and on. So I just realized that everybody has a story, right? We just don't have to get stuck in that story. You could be a stay home mom, but it's not that you don't have any freedom. Maybe it's just that you need to organize your day a little differently, right? So that you can have time for the things that matter to you and matter to your family. So it doesn't have to be a stopping point for you of not being able to explore the things that matter to you. So this is the mantra: living beyond excuses. So when we think about active listening, okay, we want to think about what is it exactly. When I think about active listening, as you see in this picture, they're all giving eye contact or getting engaged in this conversation so that they can have a desired outcome. You think about it when you have meetings, what are some things that you want to accomplish from being together in this conversation, meeting, whatever that looks like, right? So, this is a desired outcome that we are probably going for collectively. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a need for a meeting, right? But some of the things that interfere with us to actively listen, this is just a few, right? This is what came off the top of it for me. But there could be another number of things that just keep you distracted from being able to totally connect with the person that you are in a conversation with, or the group of people, or whatever. So the first thing is eye contact. So we know this so much, right? With our children, it's like, I'm trying to talk to you, your spouse or whoever, right? Friends. You sometimes feel like you're second place to the cell phone or a laptop or a book or something they're writing or anything like that. No eye contact is one of the obstacles that is really an indication that we're not getting through or connecting with the other person. The next thing is hunger. Have you ever been listening to someone or trying to? You're giving them eye contact, but your stomach is growling. You're like, man, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? Can I just interrupt them really quickly so I can go get me a cracker or something, right? Hunger can be an obstacle. If you have to go to the restroom, someone is really trying to get into a heated conversation or whatever that looks like, that is something that is extending for a longer amount of time than what you feel you can give because you have to use the restroom. The other thing is worry, right? Maybe you are engaged in thinking about what are you going to do next? Maybe it's something that you don't have the answers to. You're in a meeting and you're afraid that they're going to ask for your report that you don't have done. So you just kind of disengaged. And then the next thing could be fear. Oh my goodness, what if they're going to ask me a question or speak in front of everybody, right? Or I have to share my point and I haven't really had time to think about it. The list can go on and on, like I said. So these are just a few. So these are some of the obstacles that hinder our ability to actively listen. So we want to think about what can we do to work on this, right? When we think about these obstacles, everybody has them, right? Everybody has them. So one of the things is to really recognize what some of those obstacles are. And when we see them in other people, in addition to ourselves. So, for example, if I see that someone is not giving me eye contact, then I can pause and wait and ask, is this not a good time? Can we schedule a different time that might be more convenient? But oftentimes I can only say it myself, right? Because I don't know about anybody I'm talking to. I just know we all struggle at some point. That I would be so engaged in what I want to communicate that when I realized that they weren't listening or whatever, they gave me some clues that I could have just stopped, paused, and said, can we come up with a better time? Because this could be another issue. We just infringe on people. We just assume, hey, because we've been mulling over this idea, thought, or whatever, that just because we want to share it at that time, it may not be convenient for the other person who is listening, right? So we have to begin to consider our own behavior in light of how this listening behavior is taking place. So, this is how we can work on this. We really can create an action plan. All right. And that consists of a few things. Focusing. So if you think back to the image that I just showed with the gentleman who had his headphones on, okay, there didn't seem to be anything else around. That's the mindset that we have to have. Now, you don't actually have to put headphones on, not unless it's a conversation and you're on a computer or maybe your phone and you need to block out some outside distraction or noise, right? But the main thing is to focus. Now, that could look differently. That could be, put down your phone, give them eye contact. It could be, clear the stuff off your desk. It could be to sit down and stop doing what you're doing. If you are engaged in exercise or something and someone's talking to you, stopping what you're doing and giving them eye contact, anything that requires you to really engage in the other person. That is the first step with focus. The next thing is to ask questions, right? We have this app called Clubhouse, and so we get up on a stage and then we have an audience. But when you're on stage, there's other people that may be on the stage with you. And so when you're going over a topic, you don't want to talk at people and just say a list of things that you want them to do or points you want to make, a lot of times without allowing them to engage. So if I'm explaining a concept that other people may not be aware of or even considered, why would I not give them the opportunity to ask questions, right? So if they say, "Oh, is this something you did recently or was this when you were younger?" You want to have the ability to ask questions to interact with one another, right? We just don't want to talk at someone. We want it to be a conversation, something that we both could learn from. The next thing is don't interrupt. How often do you feel like, oh, what you're going to say, or what the other person's going to say? So you try to finish their sentence, or, you have an idea and you just want to blurt it out before you forget it, right? So, one thing that you can do in those situations that can help with the interrupting, and I've learned this a lot as a podcast host, right? Because you can get all excited and, oh, that's a great point. But what you simply want to do is just write it down, right? Get a journal, notebook paper, anything where you could be taking notes and you can write down that point, let them complete their thought, and then ask a question or follow up statement so that you can continue whatever that point might have been in a way that allows the other person to be fully engaged as well as yourself. And then another thing you could do, and again, this list is only a few things. These are some few recommendations that I would say, but you feel free to add, take away whatever works for you. But the last thing is to repeat what you heard, right? This is great because, so often we have people that struggle with sharing their story. I know I did. I went through this point of I cannot be an author. That is just not my thing. I'm comparing myself to Shakespeare, Mark Twain, some of these other classic authors that I grew up studying in school. And so when I compared myself to them, I thought, man, my story is definitely not that, right? I just couldn't write like that. That's just not my gift. So that really was what a struggle that I had to overcome with being telling my own story, right? So I got into this point where I had a collaborative, right? I was in this book, I was in three different collaboratives. And now I'm on the phase of doing my own story. But I had to overcome that hurdle of really reframing what an author looked like to me because I just didn't feel like I fit that mold. So, a lot of times when we think about the actual conversations that we have, we really need to engage in a way that really allows us to reflect and think about, what is my perspective or what was my perspective on this? And is it serving me? Is there something else that I can kind of come to terms with and think about that might be more advantageous for me when I think about my goal of actively listening? Now, as we go through this whole thing of, finding the ways that we can facilitate and make it better, we also want to read the signs. What is someone's tone of voice? What are the words that they're using? What is their body language, right? These are also some clues to help us to understand, is the person getting what I'm saying? Do they understand it? Are there any questions? Do they seem like they're interested, right? We have all different kinds of presentations that we make, whether it is selling someone something or, giving them some advice or a product or service. We want to make sure that there is a connection, right? That we are getting our point across, that they are actually understanding what we're saying. So, reading the signs is very important. And so often, this is one of the major things that we overlook, and it hinders our ability to be active participants in conversation with active listening, right? So if you have a conversation with someone, and as we see the picture with the young lady, she does not look like she is really reacting in a positive way, right? Her body language, it looks like she is spewing out things in a loud tone, right? So when we're reading the signs, we can decide, hey, you know what, this person appears to be upset. This, to me, probably is not the best time for us to engage in this conversation. Acknowledging where they're at, how they're feeling would be perfect. And then saying, I want to give space for this, to give you some time to think about it. It's evident that maybe this isn't the right time right now. And we can table this and come back in a manner that is better for you and me. Because I understand that you may be upset. However, one of my boundaries is I just cannot deal with people yelling at me. Now, even if your uh, anger might be warranted, I feel like it is not appropriate for you to be yelling at me. So we can table this for a time when maybe you're a little bit calmer, and able to express your thoughts without yelling, something like that. So we want to be able to read the signs so that we don't kind of lose sight of the goal, which is to communicate whatever point that might be, right? But if we don't read the signs, we're going to get engaged with their emotional cycle that they may be on, and it may not serve a positive outcome. So we want to think about, where are they at? What are the signs, so that we know how to navigate? See, one of the things when it comes to active listening is really being able to kind of get a sense and awareness of the atmosphere. What's really going on here? Okay, I know what I want to do, but are the roads leading to that destination, right? Am I looking at the outcome that I want to see? Or, am I having some kind of challenges with that? And they may not be your challenges, they could be the challenges of the other person. So we want to think about, when it comes to active listening, where everybody can be a winner, where we can all be in a place to where we understand all the ideas that we decided were relevant with whatever outcome that we were trying to build on. So when we think about active listening, it is a situation where, the outcome that we desired is accomplished, and we're able to explore a way that works out where everybody is a winner, right? It's not just me. It is a situation where everybody wins. We are able to have a healthy dialogue with an outcome that benefits both of us. So I hope that was beneficial for everybody as we think about active listening, that it requires both parties to be engaged in the conversation and what they desire to accomplish. So I challenge you to think about ways that you could actively listen. And one of my biggest takeaways is to have something to write down your thoughts or capture what that person said in a manner so that you can pause, you can give time to reflect, and you can really engage in healthy conversation, all because we have learned how to actively listen to the other person. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching today. And I just pray that this insight was good for you. I was setting my timer, y'all. Because I can be long winded. I could just go on and talk about topics, and it's like, I forgot to even set a timer, right? So we want to think about ways that we can benefit our audience or whoever it is that we're talking to in a manner that serves us and them. If you have any questions about anything that I shared, please feel free to put them in the comments. Reach out to me. I am happy to get on a strategy call with you so we can go over some of these specific points as they are related to you. One of the things that I have found just being a mom, right, of a number of children is there's no cookie cutter way to approach anything. It involves you to really recognize who it is that you're talking to because everybody's different. And so they're dealing with different things when it comes to accomplishing what they want out of life. And so your perspective may be different on a number of areas. But if you would like to have a strategy session to kind of go over that, feel free to reach out to me. I am just a touch away when it comes to social media because I'm everywhere, it seems like. So reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. All right. So, my challenge for you today is think about what is one thing that you could do, that you could work on this week in order to begin to be more active in your listening with other people. That is all I have for today. And I'm wishing you a wonderful, fabulous, successful week. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.